Kevin, the hot topic, and I just spoke with Jene about it, was HB 2453. Your thoughts on that, being a minister and being just being a representative of Kansas?
Sure.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, anytime you put the word marriage out there right now, it's such a hot button for our nation. And so I'm getting emails from people, not just outside my district, outside our state, and that are calling me a hater, that don't even know what the bill is, you know. That's why it's so important that we as Kansans know exactly what the bill says, so we don't continue to bring those inaccuracies out. That being said, I've had businessmen call me. We've looked at the bill and read through things that are in the bill that they felt like would be weaknesses, say in litigation, something like that. Now, this bill, essentially what it does is it very simply, and I'm using a personal example, is that I am an ordained minister, and currently there is a precedence that is set by judges in our nation that is making it so that if a same-sex couple sues because somebody wouldn't marry them, essentially they go to it goes to court, and then the judge will knock down the same-sex marriage ban, if you will. And so then it's free. It just happened in Virginia, where that happened. Well, in that case, let's say that happens in Kansas. Let's say it happens tomorrow, and we don't have this bill in place, this legislation. What happens is a same-sex couple could come to me. I'm an ordained minister. They could come to me and say, marry us. And if I say no,
they can sue you.
Yeah, they can sue me. But and the thing is in my own personal belief, I can't do it. And not only would I be kicked out of the organization that I'm affiliated through, but I would, in my own personal belief, I can't do that. It's for me, before God, it's sin, or it would be wrong. Now, I'm not trying to bring a lot of heat on that or anything, but for me, that's why in America we protect
individual rights,
yes, individual liberties, and religious. Our religious belief is part of it. I see it as like Muhammad Ali during Vietnam. Yes. He was a conscientious objector. The guy's a boxer. He's a fighter, but he didn't want to go and kill somebody. He conscientious because of his religious beliefs, and so he was a conscientious objector. Now, I don't know that whole story. I just use that so that people can understand that it's to protect, right? It's to protect religious freedom, and not to hit. Now, as I said, I talked to a local businessman, and they have some concerns with the way things are written. Well, those things will be looked at. When I originally looked at it, I didn't see anything that needed amending. I didn't see anything that I felt like was very good. But I'm not a lawyer, so that's why we had the checks and balances. You know?
Just so okay. So having said that, is this a move towards having same-sex marriage?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Actually, here's the thing that I see with this bill and everything that's happening around it. How can you make a mistake with legislation with so many people looking at it?
Yes.
The good thing it's doing is so many people are looking at this legislation that they're gonna pick through it and make sure it's right. And if it's bad, it will not pass. It just won't. If it's bad legislation. And so the thing is that Kansas State House in Kansas State, we believe that this is an issue that's preemptive, because most of those states already had same-sex marriage ban eliminated, and then a year later they're putting this into place. Why? Because they're having issues with this particular topic, where people are conscientiously objecting to doing something, and then they're getting sued. And so it is important legislation. It just needs to be done right. I think that we're in the right place. We're doing it at the right time, so that
ahead of the game.
If it does happen. Now, the only reason that I don't know that Kansas will go that direction, but it's being attacked, if you will. The strategy is to use the courts to do this. Now, in the United States, it's supposed to be by the people. So you ask the people, and they say ban same-sex marriage. But you ask the courts, and they say you're going to swallow this and you're going to live with it. Now, I agree with the people. I don't agree with the courts on that particular issue. But that's the thing, is that's what we're having as a nation, and this is truly shame on us states, because we're allowing the federal government to kind of move. I shouldn't say federal government. I should go straight to the courts, allow rogue judges, if you will, or judges to make laws. They don't make laws. If you go back to the original way that the Constitution was formed, and I'll stop with this, but if you go back to the way that it was written, back in the day, man, they would, if a judge cussed in public, they would impeach him. They would remove that judge. And now the only way you can remove certain judges is huge. Like they die or they do something very, very wrong. And in this case, they're making judgment calls that are wrong for our state. Yet they choose. Yet it's making the law for our state. You know, our state should be able to say no, but and I could be ignorant on an issue, and I'm always open to hear. If I'm wrong on something, let me know. But yeah, if I'm going to judge,
real quick, your email is?
My email is kevin.jones at kansas.house.gov or house.kansas.gov. Sorry.
Kevin Jones. All right, say it one more time. Get me confused.
House.kansas.gov. So it's house.ks.gov.
Okay, and it's Kevin Jones.
Yeah.
Kevin Jones, yeah. Okay, well, if you we'll go back over, we'll Google it to make sure.
Yeah, make sure it's right.
But you should see it on the screen right about here somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
you'll see it right there. They'll get it right there. So, yeah, I'm always confused on it, but yeah, if you have questions, please. But again, on the judges, a judge is supposed to look at both sides openly and make a decision based on that. And what they do is they go off of the precedence of what other judges have ruled, so it keeps them safe. In case they do rule, they just say, I was ruling by precedence. So that's not how we do things.
Speaking with Gene earlier, he said that he stated that he can't imagine somebody wanting to go to another faith or religion or church. Sure. And asking them to marry them. And my thought is,
it's strategic, man.
Yeah, exactly. My thought is, I mean, and the wholesome goodness, God loves Kansas sense of the word. I mean, yeah, that's not going to happen. But there's people out there that are looking for. Well, in my opinion, I don't know.
If you have a particular thing that you're very, very interested, that's dear to your heart, and that's very important to you, you're going to push for it. And so, if things aren't working your way this way, you think of a different strategy. And in this case, same-sex marriage is not something that Kansas necessarily wants. We voted against it. But what's the other strategy? What's another way? Well, if you can get one judge, and then if it goes to the Supreme Court and that judge, and they rule it, then through the judges you can create law. And it's not the way that it's
not the way that this government was born.
Right. It's something that should have been protected. The judges are below all the other branches. They're the lowest. They just serve. They interpret law. But now they're making law. That doesn't make sense at all. And so,
how do we change that? How do us citizens? How do we fight for that? Fight for us.
Well,
give us the word again.
The first thing that we can do. Is if we all got together at one time and said, "You judge made the wrong decision," then that judge is going to be like, "Oh, everybody's coming against me." They're going to stand there and act like that it's no big deal. But if everybody's saying you made the wrong decision, that would. And what this is, it's not a decision on whether same-sex marriage is right or wrong. The decision is whether his judgment is constitutional, because he's interpreting the Constitution, interpreting the law. And when they interpret it wrong, they can even look at it and say, "Do you realize that your judgment is making a law?" They can look back and go, "Yep, that's not constitutional." They know enough about it to know that. Now, I do know that some, I guess, the constitutional law taught in law in our law programs aren't very good. They don't focus on constitution. They would say not, but there's premier people on constitutional law that would actually make that argument that they don't teach constitutional law. They shorten it. They don't teach it to the degree that they actually understand the Constitution. And then we have judges all over our nation that are making rulings based off of precedents, not off of our Constitution. It's a scary place to be, and what we need to do is we need to essentially, when a judge makes a bad law, impeach. Just say it. Just say that person shouldn't be up there if they're making that law.
And that goes for no matter what side you're on. That goes goes for whether you're liberal, conservative, whether you're Democratic, whether you're Republican. I mean, the law is the country. Our country was founded for us, and so we should have the vote. We should have the say so. Whether it's something you believe in or something you don't believe in, if you have enough people that agree with you or vote for it, then
right now the way that judges, like you all vote for judges, they're on your ballot. And I get these questions every single time election time rolls around. People will be at the ballot box and they'll call me and say, "What about this judge? What about this judge? What about this judge?" But judges are always retained because nobody knows. Nobody knows how they judge. And so that's the way that our judges are retained. It's not, those guys and gals they are not actually chosen by the people, they're retained by the people. And that's what's hard, is that we're so, me personally too, ignorant to how their rulings are, because they make so many of them, and you don't look back over all of them. We don't have the time to look back over all of them, and so we look at these judges and we go, okay, I just won't vote for them. Doesn't matter if one person votes for them; they're retained, you know. So it's not like they need a majority to stay in or anything like that. They just stay in.
So where do we go to find out about these judges, to find out their background, and their beliefs? I mean, you come up with the answers.
This is very difficult. Hey, if you want to start a company or something, a nonprofit or organization that actually organizes all the judges, all the rulings, and gives an overall, like, this person leans right, this person leans left type of thing, that makes it almost like it's, you know, but maybe like this, maybe their ruling, constitutional versus unconstitutional, would be the way to put it up there. You know, that way you can see, does this person rule constitutionally, and if they do, then you go with that. It has to be nonpartisan. The trouble is that as long as our judges are retained and not actually voted in, we're just going to have random people in there that are making precedents based on what everybody else does, and not actually ruling based on
their own thoughts and beliefs.
Yeah. Not necessarily their beliefs, but on their own thoughts and the Constitution, you know. Because when you're a judge, you're supposed to take those beliefs and set them aside and listen to the story, listen to the sides of it, and make a wise decision, and it works. I mean, hopefully it works, you know, that justice happens, and that these rulings aren't made to where there's people having to do things opposite of what they believe or feel, and so.
That's an earful, a mouthful, and I tell you what, the place is closing down around us, so we're gonna head out. This is Paul Davis and Representative Kevin Jones.
Thank you, guys.
Again, about that email address.
Thank you. You know what? I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to give you, it's Kevin Jones for Kansas, all spelled out at gmail.com. Kevin Jones for Kansas at gmail.com. Now you got two of my emails. KevinJonesForKansas at gmail.com.
All right, and this is Paul Michael Davis with MCTV, and MCTV is the place to be, all right? Now it's back to you.